Welcome to the AT Pit Crew podcast. This high-energy show dives deep into the world of sports emergency care. Join us as we explore cutting-edge strategies, real-world experiences, and expert insights to help you step up your game in emergency care. We've got the tools, tips, and stories you need to be ready when seconds matter. It's time for the AT Pit Crew podcast. We have the green light in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the AT Pit Crew podcast. I'm Ray Castle, host today, and as we're wrapping up, we're here in Arkansas at Cabot High School for the Arkansas Secondary School Interprofessional Sports Emergency Care course. I have a pleasure to get to know and have work today with Cheria McDonald, who is with the Arkansas School Nurses Association. So welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
She was a part of being some of the part of the topics, and we had a chance to talk today. And really, the thing I've really grown, I said this before in her closing comments, was first off, you're back to tell the audience what you do, and with the Department of Education.
Department. Yes, I work for the Division of Elementary and Secondary Education, and I oversee school nursing services. I'm the state school nurse consultant with them and work with basically making sure that nurses have every resource available for education, training, implementation, policy, whatever, to best serve kids.
Yep, and we're doing the same thing. Every state's doing the same thing. I think the one thing that I mentioned this earlier, and even on the panel closing out, one thing I have an appreciation for, really have enjoyed listening is, and also seeing, is what the level of engagement that state nurses, school nurses have in this process of emergency medicine, of everything we have going on. It's just one important piece of this cog, and especially in rural areas where you may not have, we typically have an athletic trainer, but it still has to have someone medically trained who, in being part of that process, but also you have another resource that some people don't think of. You're there during school, and that's what partially is probably thought of is the misnomer is nurses are there just doing school, they only do one thing, and it's not the case.
It's really not in the rural areas, because often, like I said, there's not an athletic trainer. So if you have a student that has any kind of health issue, or just they need someone to go on athletic events, school nurses sometimes asked to do that. And of course, he or she knows their social history, their chronic health conditions. They know the students really well, because they have to get all that information at the beginning of the year, really do a health history.
For all students. Then you have the athletic physical, which is a different beast in itself.
Right.
And you want to make sure everybody's communicating, so you have a resource there.
They're coordinating those athletic physicals often, where there's not an athletic trainer. They're the ones that are doing that communication.
So what has been the one thing you, like from today, I know that the School Nursing Association, you are part of the Sports Medicine Advisory Committee, or the overall committee.
I am, yes, at the Department of Ed.
I serve Department of Ed. Part of there. And what's some of the take-home point that you saw today that you thought was just like, I hadn't thought of this from a perspective, from an athletic response that will help that when you go back and you talk with other department, but also it articulates out to school nurses.
Mm-hmm. I think to really get with their coaches and with their those that have athletic trainers, or if they don't have an athletic trainer, how important it is to be involved and to help them to figure out their emergency action plan and work with their local resources like EMS. I think that that's going to be really important as we move forward to do that, because they might not know that an EAP exactly what that was, but I think that we're going to get that word out to school nurses exactly what an EAP is. And it's very different. And it's very different. It's very different than that I'm going to say from 7:30 to 3 o'clock. Mm-hmm. You have there, and then you have everything else happens after that. And that's a very different, you don't know where students are. They're the practice, they're running around, especially something happens if it were a mass casualty, something, a threat to the school that may happen, and everybody needs to know what their role is. Right. And it's not just, you may be there part of the time, but how that integrates with overall resources. Yeah, and the Sports Medical Advisory Committee has been really good to work with, like with athletic trainers, because a lot of the school nurses have trained the athletic trainers on medication administration based off that student's health history. So they have certain or specific things that for Arkansas they have to be, like we have legislated that they have to be trained in certain areas. So, and I've worked with that, the state Athletic Training Association to make sure that we put that information out last year and we worked together. And so often when the nurse is not there, it's training the coach to do something or training, some other person that's involved, maybe even a volunteer coach or whoever, but you're training people to oversee that student's needs when they're away.
Communicate, educate, go back and communicate some more and work together and we're on the same boat. Yep, as well. So the last thing is two questions. One is I know you came around some of the labs, you were doing some of the lab sessions. What's some of the things you got out, one or two things from the 4 lab sessions we had today?
Well, 2 things I can think of right off the top of my head was the ice bag. I was so amazed with that. I did not.
With the cold, with the heat,
for the heat illness, so to have the bag instead of the tub.
Having a disaster response bag instead of having a tub, saving.
It could be taken anywhere almost and easily accessible. So I really was impressed with that because I didn't have any idea about that, honestly. And I did not know on face masks that you have this little punch hole that will pop out. I mean, even though they can get stuck, I didn't realize that, they weren't all screws.
And they can get rusty, and that becomes even problematic as well. So good. We got 2 things you learned, and that's
I did learn, and I loved it.
That just goes back. We've had different group. We had those labs. We had emergency room physician, like I was doing one lab on exertional heat illness at the emergency room physician. It was also director of EMS. We had the EMS supervisor, fire and EMS supervisor. So we got to see it kind of and all the labs were like that, having just a general different perspective of interprofessional activity and how that happens. So last question is, we'd love to close the show out. What's a fun fact that we may not know about you?
A fun fact?
Yeah.
I grew up in a hardware and lumber store my daddy had and owned, and so I love the smell of pine. And so when I get really stressed out, I want to smell woods and lumber.
So we seeing you at Home Depot or the local every time, hanging out there. Where are you? Okay, I'll know now. Next time you see you there, what are you doing? I'm just smelling.
I'm just like, it's calming.
Zone as well. That's a great fun fact. So again, as we wrap this up, thank you again. Appreciate you taking time at the end of the day and also being here, and definitely look forward to communicating and talking with you again in the future.
Forward to it. I really want y'all to come back, and I really want to do something.
We have barbecue here. We got other stuff, good stuff in Louisiana. So with that in mind, thank you again, audience. Cheria McDonald. We're here at the Arkansas Secondary School Interprofessional Sports Emergency Care course. I'm Ray Castle, and we are out of here.
Thank you for joining us on the AT PICRU podcast. We encourage you to like, subscribe, and join our community. For more information about this podcast show, visit www.actionmed.co/podcast. This show is a production of Action Medicine Consultants, LLC. The medical information provided within this program reflects the opinions of the hosts and guests and is intended for informational and educational purposes only. It should not be considered as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the guidance of your healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment.